By 1947, when the British left, India's economy was in shambles. Years of deindustrialization under British rule had pushed India into extreme poverty. India's GDP had dropped to 3%. It also faced unemployment, illiteracy, high population, and mortality rates. With such high poverty and social inequalities, questions were raised on India's survival as an independent nation. This led India's political leaders to focus on economic policy that enabled rapid industrialization post-independence. They believed that industrialization would lay the road to economic development and will improve living standards and economic sovereignty. Under the leadership of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, industrialization was approved and the development of public sector enterprises was made the main objective. Public sector enterprises are also known as public sector undertakings or PSUs. These establishments are either completely or partially owned by the Indian government. These enterprises are also present at the state level. Anyway, for years, PSUs helped the government in its developmental undertaking. But after the Indian economic crisis in 1991, the government decided to change its economic policy. After the crisis, the government decided to divest its ownership of the PSUs and privatize those companies that displayed a poor financial performance and faced low efficiency. So what was the 1991 economic crisis? And what is disinvestment and what are its main objectives? What did the Indian economy gain or lose after the Indian government initiated disinvestment? In today's video, we are going to address these questions. We will also discuss the different types of disinvestment. We will also look at the steps that the Indian government took for disinvestment and did it to harm or good to the economy. So let's get started. Disinvestment involves the selling of shares of the PSUs by the government. These shares are often bought by interested private companies. The government usually follows three approaches for disinvestment. First is minority disinvestment, in which the government retains 51% or more majority stake, thereby keeping its control over management. Another approach is majority disinvestment, in which the government sells 50% or more stakes to a private company or to important strategic PSUs. It is also known as strategic disinvestment, in which the government retains managerial control. The third approach is complete privatization. Under this, 100% control passes on to the buyer. The main objectives behind the government's disinvestment policy are reducing fiscal deficit, investing the revenue in productive social sector, and to facilitate infrastructural development. When the government's expenditure exceeds its revenue, a situation of fiscal deficit arises. Experts believe that the efficiency of the companies could be increased through privatization, which would also enhance market competition, market discipline, and innovation and technology. Friends, so far, we have tried to understand the significance of disinvestment. Let's now look at why it was introduced in India. We will discuss the history of disinvestment and its present scenario in the next section. India adopted industrialization as a model of development to improve its post-independence situation. India's leading industrialists emphasized on the need for industrialization along with government intervention and regulation, which is why Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru promoted import substitution and industrialization, in which the Indian government was to play dominant role. Besides, PSUs were also developed, through which the government was empowered to regulate industries. Till 1991, government-led industrial policy and restrictions on private enterprises were the dominant patterns of Indian economic development. Strict regulations, license system, government interference in the decision-making process, PSU's poor efficiency, and low work ethics pushed the Indian economy to crisis in 1991. India's foreign exchange was also diminishing. This is known as the 1991 Indian economic crisis. To get the country out of this unfortunate situation, changes were brought about in the economic development approach. Along with liberalization and globalization, disinvestment and privatization were also followed. This way, 1991's disinvestment policy became an important policy for the Indian economy, the targets for which are announced by the government every year in its union budget. For example, in the financial year 2022-23, the target was 65,000 crore rupees. More than target, it is important to know what are the benefits of disinvestment for the government. Has the government achieved what it had intended to with its disinvestment policy? Let's find out in the next section. Reports suggested that in the financial year 1991-92 to 2017-18, Indian government sold up to 3,47,439 crore rupees of assets. Government carried out major disinvestment between 1999 and 2004. For example, in May 2000, the government sold 74% equity shares of Hindustan Teleprinters Limited, also known as HTL, to the Himachal Futuristics Communications Limited (HFCL) for only 55 crore rupees. The government still retains 26% equity shares in the company. In the financial year 2014-15, the company registered a revenue of 2,551 crore rupees, which also included government shares. The CMC Limited company was privatized in 2001, through which the Tata Sons Limited acquired 51% stakes for 151 crore rupees. Today, CMC Limited is better known as the Tata Consultancy Services or TCS and is one of India's most profitable companies. In 2002, the government sold majority of shares of Hindustan Zinc for only 769 crore rupees to Sterlite Industries. After its acquisition, Hindustan Zinc earned 100 times more profit. Not only that, 30% stake of the government in Hindustan Zinc is today worth nearly 27,523 crore. Moreover, Hindustan Zinc is today the world's second largest zinc-lead miner and fourth largest zinc-lead smelter. It is conducted among the top 10 silver producers. Bharat Aluminium Company, Balco, was also acquired by Sterlite Industries. Post disinvestment, Balco developed special aluminum alloys for the manufacture of Agni and Prithvi missiles. Balco was the first country in the Indian aluminum industry that started making alloy rods. Alloy rods are important for power transmission lines. Moreover, in 2002, Reliance Industries acquired India's second largest petrochemical company, Indian Petrochemicals, in which Reliance had minority stakes. In 2007, Reliance Industries went for a complete merger. Reports suggested that ever since Reliance has acquired it, India Petrochemicals' profitability and revenue have considerably increased. Its net turnover and profit increased by 14% and 20% respectively. Similarly, in 2003, Maruti Udyog Limited was sold to Japanese automaker Suzuki Motor Corporation. Maruti is said to have profited from this deal. In 2015, Maruti launched its 15 millionth vehicle under the name of Swift Desire. Till February 2022, Maruti Suzuki's India's passenger cars market share was 44.2%. Friends, these examples prove that the government did earn a healthy profit from these deals, and so did the divested companies. Disinvestment has also reduced India's fiscal deficit. Data reveals that whereas in 2008 and 9 fiscal deficit was 6%, in 2018 it was reduced to 3.4%. When COVID led to an increase in government expenditure, the fiscal deficit too increased. It is slowly getting back to normal now. Moreover, economists believe that the efficiency of PSUs has improved, coming under the control of private enterprises. Yet people ask why in almost 30 years the massive profits earned through disinvestment have not materialized on ground level. India's rural infrastructure is still quite poor. Many villages still lack electricity, roadways, and safe drinking water. Every year, big schemes are announced for infrastructural growth in the budget like Gati Shakti and Make in India, but their implementation remains poor. Not only that, according to the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report in 2021, out of nearly 140 countries, India was ranked 45th because of its poor infrastructure. Social sectors too don't reflect satisfactory improvement. While talks to build world-class hospitals and universities goes on, the real work on ground is too slow. Moreover, in the overall GDP of the budget, health and education is largely ignored, which affects essential services. Nutrition data related to children and ASER's education report too don't show any successful result. Many economists believe that the adoption of disinvestment is an unhealthy and short-term practice to reduce fiscal deficit, because disinvestment is neither always profitable nor are its targets achieved timely. Disinvestment does not always prove to be a profitable deal for the government. Many companies could not earn enough profits after disinvestment. In 2002, Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited or VSNL was also a target of disinvestment. It was bought by the Tata Group. Hence, VSNL came to be known as Tata Communications. But it is said that like Balco and Hindustan Zinc, Tata Communications could not earn profits. From March 2001 to March 2020, the revenue of the company increased by only 2.3 times. Air India and LIC were also in the news of disinvestment. According to reports, government-owned Air India suffered a loss of almost 8,000 crore rupees in 2019-20. Hence, the government decided to divest Air India. In December 2021, Tata Group bought Air India for 18,000 crore rupees. But the government only received 15% of the total amount because Air India was drowned in such debt that after its sellout, 85% of the amount was just spent in repayment. Moreover, it was feared that because of its disinvestment, the price of Air India flight tickets could increase, leading to a lot of difficulties for the citizens. On the other hand, the government has still not been able to divest all loss-making PSUs. Some PSUs would have come to an end because of their inefficiency had it not been for government support. You would be amazed to know that according to reports, in the financial year 2019-20, BSNL suffered a loss of 15,500 crore. MTNL2 suffered a loss of 3,696 crore rupees. Hindustan Copper Limited, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, also known as BHEL, ONGC Mangalore Petrochemicals Limited, etc. are other companies that registered losses of thousands of crores. Not only massive amounts of taxpayers' money goes into maintaining these companies, the threat of workers losing their job does not allow the government to close them down. Moreover, it has been difficult to achieve the target of privatizing PSUs. Last year, in its 2021 Union Budget, the government announced that PSUs would be maintained only in 4 strategic areas, while the rest would be privatized. Going by recent trends, the government has not been able to achieve its annual disinvestment target, because of which it is suffering from potential revenue losses. Moreover, due to coronavirus pandemic, in the last 2 years, the disinvestment process was almost at a standstill. During this period, the government was able to earn 9,300 crore by selling the minority stakes of companies like National Mineral Development Corporation, NMDC, Housing and Urban Development Corporation, HUDCO, etc. LIC too has incurred heavy losses. Media reports claim that every day it registers a loss of 20 crore rupees. Hence, the government has decided to divest some of LIC's stakes in the primary share market with the hope that the government could earn only $1 trillion. Economists claim that LIC could be divested by the government in future. Many have been critical for the government's decision to privatize profit-making PSUs. Data such as that till 31st March 2019, profit-making PSUs net worth that it received from shareholders was almost 2.76 lakh crore. On the other hand, Central PSUs has earned a revenue of 25.43 lakh crore in the years 2018-19. Hence, it is believed that the government could earn a regular income by selling such PSUs. Critics also argue that complete privatization would turn public monopolies to private monopolies, the brunt of which will have to be borne by common citizens, because these monopolies would increase the prices of their goods and services to earn higher profits and end up exploiting consumers. We do see problem in privately run companies too. In fact, many are aware that most non-performing assets or NPAs are found in the private sector. Till 2017, available data showed that the share of the public sector in NPAs is only about 3%. Hence, experts believe that along with achieving disinvestment targets, changes in leadership and management control is also needed, especially in loss-making PSUs, because there isn't any guarantee that privatization would bring profits for PSUs. So friends, this was our discussion on disinvestment. We saw how disinvestment cannot be a complete success nor a complete failure. It is an ongoing process through which government got many benefit, but because of less revenue, it has to face a number of problems. In fact, whether companies are divested or not, it is more important to ensure that the employees receiving minimum wages and social security, and unregulated capitalism and monopoly are not encouraged. The focus should be on tackling unemployment. Also friends, this video is quite relevant from the perspective of UPSC mains examination, and questions on disinvestment could be expected in the UPSC GS3 economy section. So we will leave you with a question related to this topic. You could answer it in the comment below. And the question is, tracing the history of disinvestment in India, comment whether the process has benefited India or not. So my friends, that's it for the video. I hope you have liked the video, and if you have, don't forget to share it with your friends. We will meet in next video. Till then, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.